Welcome back. It's every man's dream job, and some women's too, to test drive and tinker with the world's most impressive cars. On Top Gear, his nickname, it's not fair, is it? Captain Slow, because of his careful driving style. Well, you should be careful when you're driving.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that, is there? But now, presenter James May has transported himself high speed into the future of an exciting new series, this time searching the globe for the latest, most promising, sometimes bizarre technologies. Have a look at this.
I have a dream. A dream of how the future will be. It's one in which I can fly to work, where I live alongside helpful humanoid robots, and run my car on fuel conjured out of thin air. Mere fantasy? Possibly not. Because in this series, I'm going to travel the world, meeting highly intelligent and possibly possessed people who are turning my big ideas into reality. Well, sort of. I'm going to start with that old chestnut, how to beat traffic jam misery. What I'd really like is to fly above all this, and luckily, I'm not alone. So, I'm off to meet some people who think like me, but are much cleverer, and to see their flying machines. Some are downright reckless. Some are top secret.
I'll have a go.
What? And others simply enchanting.
I like it.
In the search for a better way to get from A to B.
James May joins us now. It should be said, that wasn't just a plane.
Which one?
That last
Yes.
picture, that was a car that turned into a plane.
Or what they actually call a roadable aircraft. That is actually an aircraft that turns into a car.
So you've got
the same thing.
The car can go along as to a normal car, and then you attach wings.
Yes, you can tow the. That's from the 1950s. That thing, hence the colour scheme. But yes, you can just drive it around as a car locally, or you can tow the wings, the fuselage, and the tailplane behind you, like a very, very complicated collapsed caravan, and then you arrive at an airfield or a strip, or presumably a long straight road, bolted all together in a rather terrifying fashion, and then off you go.
Yes.
But it works.
And what was amazing, I thought, watching you, was that you got into some fairly dangerous, risky-looking contraptions and went up in the air and came down again perfectly safely.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing about the flying car is that I didn't do the bit about how it's assembled until after I'd flown it. And I think if I'd done that first and see how the wing goes on with a sort of pin that goes through a hole and then a bit of bent tin that goes like a ruler on the side of the desk, I might have thought twice about it, but actually it worked.
And the one that I think is going to tickle everyone is the jetpack.
Yes.
Which we can see behind
I'm sure
us.
it's called something else.
No,
That's you in the jetpack.
Yeah. It's a rocket pack rather than jetpack. It's not a jet engine, it's a rocket motor. It's a very, very simple idea. Hydrogen peroxide with a catalyst, all flies out at huge volume and massive noise and blows you up into the air for maybe 20 seconds if you're lucky before you fall to earth and get killed.
Let's have a little look at you doing that.
Now, only 11 people have ever flown a free-flying, untethered rocket pack. That means that more people have actually walked on the moon than flown one of these. So in spite of grave misgivings, I was determined to ascend the first rung of this exclusive flight club.
I don't like the way you've put your crash helmet on. What's that for? Okay. It's stuck.
With a rocket nozzle temperature of 600 degrees C, I had one minor criticism.
My trousers are on fire.
It heated up your trousers quite a lot.
It did. He had warned me about that, which is why I think in the clip I start lifting my knee. It does make your trousers very hot and your shoes. And that's a sort of test rig thing he's built in his garden. It's a giant seesaw which allows you to go up only a few feet before it stops you, because the thing is so uncontrollable, frankly, that without that you could end up
In next door neighbour's garden.
Well, worse, really. You could go over the trees, just through the clouds, and then down head first, and that would be the end of you.
Is it my imagination, or have people done that previously better? I mean, have people flown around like that on kind of jetpacks?
Well, yes, it was an American idea originally. It goes back to the 1950s, and they thought it would be a way of moving soldiers very quickly around battlefields. It was a sort of personal Hawker Harrier, if you like, and they did make it work successfully. It was used in the Bond film, and it was used at the last Olympics. But there are only, they reckon at the moment there are only 3 people in the world who can operate such a thing safely, and that one that the chap has built in his shed in Surrey is not quite right yet. He made one attempt to fly it just on a tether, like a long piece of string, rather than that seesaw device. And he showed me the little bit of footage he made, and the throttle stuck open. And what he did in a roundabout way was sort of kicked his assistant's head in, who was rushing forward to try and turn it off, but couldn't.
Oh, and he was kind of, it was taking him off.
He was just flying around the room, and every time he came back and the bloke tried to reach the control, he just headbutted him in the face.
Oh,
it was, I mean, it's very, very perilous.
These things, they're kind of the stuff of schoolboy, schoolgirl dreams, aren't they? You know, we all kind of imagine that one day we'd be able to strap a pack on our back and go jetting off. I mean, you make the point in the programme that our transport options are all stuck in the, you know, based on inventions made in the first half of the 20th century.
Yes,
there
or
doesn't
earlier.
seem to be much innovation. Is that because people aren't trying, or because there's not the investment, or people are scared?
Well, it's not because people aren't trying. There are some people, some of them that I meet in the programme, trying all sorts of fantastic ideas. But I think that the real problem is we have to make this leap now from the ground into the air. I believe that in some way or another, the air will be the future of personal transport, because that's where the space is. I mean, there's just a vast amount of it compared with the little bit of space we've got on the roads. So there's not really much you can do with things like cars and buses, except make them a bit more efficient, make them perform better, make them crash more safely, and so on. But once we get into the sky, we can move around at huge speeds freely. But it's how to control it, how to manage it, and actually there's going to be inevitable problems with legislation and health and safety and insurance and all the rest of it. So
health and safety, watching carefully with that jetpack.
Yes.
we didn't tell them.
OK. James, there we must leave it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The show starts this Sunday at 9 o'clock on BBC Two. Health and safety. We'll be watching.